So let's go to Ty Cobb now, former Trump White House lawyer. You know, Ty, it is pretty incredible when you lay this out and you hear it. And I know this is sort of a different venue than the one in which you would have dealt with Trump, right? But talking about a mortgage rate and the income and all of it's a lie. All of it, it's all false. So what did you make of this ruling in the New York case?
I think the ruling is significant. I mean, it's a very high bar to get summary judgment when you have this much at stake. But Trump had no defenses. And as the judge pointed out, I mean, his opinion is very detailed, very judicious, you know, littered with citations, appropriate citations, and criticism of the defense arguments, and highlighting the overwhelming evidence against him. But he basically points out that Trump relentlessly, as you have highlighted, you know, puts forth claims that simply are not true, that have no foundation, that cannot be supported by the facts. I will give this judge some credit because in footnote 9, for those of us who combed this document, he essentially characterizes Trump's approach to this defense and the way it's presented as saying, as Chico Marx playing Ciccolini says to Margaret Dumont playing Mrs. Gloria Teasdale in Duck Soup, well, who are you going to believe, me or your own eyes?
Yeah, I mean, and you point out the footnotes. You know, I have to say in all of this, Ty, one of the things that just to take that moment on 9/11, that your comment on that day would have been, my building's now the tallest. I don't know. For some reason, there are still things that can break through all of this and give one pause, I hope.
But how is 9/11? How is 9/11 about Trump? That's just, it's just repulsive. And it's so sad. Almost 3,000 people lost their lives.
Yeah.
And he's talking about his building and lying about how big it is.
Yeah. Ty, so one of the things that some of the New York attorneys were saying is that it was highly unprecedented in this judge's ruling to sanction Trump's lawyers, actually sanction them. 5 of them were sanctioned in the case and ordered by the judge to pay $7,500 apiece. It's not the amount, it's the fact that it happened, right? It just doesn't happen. One of those attorneys, Chris Kise, is also representing Trump in the federal documents case. And yet, amidst all this, Trump adds 2 new lawyers to his legal team today. Are you at all surprised that he continues to add new lawyers when so many have gotten in trouble for working for him? Never mind these sanctions. I mean, look at Eastman, Giuliani, Chesbrough, right?
No, that's true. And I think the significance of the sanctions is it highlights yet again, the extent to which Trump, pushes his lawyers out there in a way that forces them to lose their own credibility. For a judge to sanction a lawyer is not an easy act. It doesn't happen that often. And this just highlights again, the frivolousness of most of Trump's positions, just as Judge Chutkan's order today highlighted the frivolousness of his, efforts to recuse her.
And let me ask you about that ruling. He wanted Judge Chutkan, right, to be removed. She's overseeing the 2020 election subversion case by the DOJ in Washington. She denied that request to recuse herself, as was her right to do. Now, Trump had pointed, Ty, to statements that she made in a case involving another January 6th defendant, in which she alluded to Trump, saying, and she said that the rioters were there in fealty and loyalty to one man, not the Constitution. She added, it's a blind loyalty to one person who, by the way, remains free to this day. He said that implied bias. That was his argument. Was her decision today the right move, or does this open the door for Trump down the road?
No, this wasn't even a close call. And in fact, the law is so clear that you cannot recuse a judge for information that comes to him or her while they are on the bench. And as she highlighted in her ruling, Trump's lawyers, again, and sadly, took those comments way out of context, suggested they were her thoughts, when in fact, she was merely responding to a defendant's argument at sentencing, which is perfectly lawful. There was never a basis to recuse her. I think you will see other attempts by Trump to attack the judge and get rid of her. I think the whole argument over the gag order is designed to ultimately try to provoke an opportunity to mandamus her and try to get rid of her that way, that will also fail.